Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Libra for May 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog, and while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter, and you will get a written report for the upcoming astrology a month early so that you have a visual reference as you're making your plans and understanding the transits ahead. So, what's going on this month? We've got this time we've been waiting for, movement and manifestation to the max. We've got personal planets that have been in and out of retrograde and their shadow periods. All of that is clearing up this month. It is a month of transition as it kind of gets worked out, but there are plenty of opportunities for pushing forward. We've got lots of universal support, including an amazing trine with outer planets, which is very rare and very supportive to these harmonious transitions, these crossroads that have been pending to get worked out and moved into action. I am going to go into detail about the dates of the transits, but before that, and the ones that I think are notable and what I think you can do with them or need to know about them. But first I want to talk about some houses, some areas of fields of experience that are being highlighted specifically for Libra placements. So the 7th and 8th houses are both being lit up for Libra, and it's for one reason or another. Early, middle, or late degree placements may have some different planets in these houses, but all of you have these houses accentuated, and so I'm going to talk about it in those terms. When we get to the full moon, I'll be a little more specific about the difference between early and middle and late degree placements, because that's the only place with what I'm looking at that there is a difference between the early, middle, or late. So all placements have tremendous focus on the 7th house and the 8th house, and these are the two partnership houses. So Libra energy is all about partnership. It's the sign of the 7th house. So that, that fairness, that peace, that harmony that you desire, that working with others, those, deep relationships, important relationships, always partnering up. This is a life theme for you, but it's also a current theme for this month. I'm calling the theme of the month Blessed Partnerships because there's so much potential right now, especially from the work that has been done with the retrogrades, for you to move into win-win situations, partnering up with wonderful outcomes, new clients, new business relationships, new romantic relationships, or moving forward with your current romantic relationships, or tying things up if you're ending anything. So you have a lot of support there for looking for win-win outcomes. The 8th house, which is the other partnership house, is very much about shared resources. So the 7th house is just the relationship, you and the other person connecting. The 8th house is you and the other person connecting, and all of your resources and all of their resources coming together. So legal connections, financial connections. It's called the house of other people's money. So inheritances, spousal money, family money, support that you're getting from loans or other areas, sweepstakes even, lotto, anything in that arena is 8th house. So that's being lit up. You never know what can show up there in your shared resources, but there is definitely a lot of positive energy for financial movement. The 8th house is also a very spiritual house. It's one of the water houses, and it is the house of Scorpio, which rules this deep study into the mind. So astrology is in 2 different houses, but astrology is, the psychological aspect of astrology is in the 8th house, and just psychology in general is there. So the study of figuring out what makes somebody tick, and what makes things work, and what's at the foundation of things that we see in life, and the lesser seen truths that are behind the more seen, quote, realities. That's all 8th house stuff, So this for many people will be a time of great spiritual advancements. I always like to get, the spiritual aspects involved, not just the mundane, because to me, these lesser seen realms are more relevant even than the seen realms. People here doing conscious light work, we're always looking at what we can't see. If you really think about it, what we can see is maybe 10 to 20% of what there is. And that's why we keep making discoveries about things that have been going on all along, but they were just out of our conscious awareness, and so that this place, like that other 80 to 90% that's not in our conscious awareness, that's what this house is all about, this 8th house. So having these discoveries about things that were mysteries that add value to your life, that add value to your path, spiritual breakthroughs that are very much in order with this energy. There's also the full moon on the 10th, and that brings fullness, completion, fruition to the sign and the house of the fullness. So I'll talk a little bit more about the sign and its fullness when we talk about the general transits. But I want to talk about, specific for Libra, the houses that are accentuated with the full moon. So fullness, completion, fruition, which can mean positive things coming to fruition, or it can mean stressful things coming to a head. I always like to leave room around the full moon because it tends to be emotional, whether it's really happy emotional or whether it's really stressed emotional. There's something that generally has to be dealt with. I personally usually feel the energy of the full moon a couple of days beforehand. And then by the time it's the full moon, it's like, okay, I already had my shaking off of emotional, energy. So you can look out for it in that time frame too. And that's true for a lot of these transits. You might notice that if something's supposed to happen on a certain day, you start feeling it, beforehand or afterwards. So for the early and middle placements, you are going to feel this full moon in the second house. So fullness, completion, fruition coming with finances, with your earned income, with how you value things, with an item of value to you. Could be, maybe you get that car that you wanted, or you get that bling that you wanted, or something expensive, something of value. It doesn't always have to be something expensive. It could be something that you personally value, because this house is about your values, and it may or may not have a high price tag on it. But this house also rules luxury items, so you might get something like that at this time. And this is the first month in a while that's really good to do that, because we're clear of the Venus retrograde throughout, close to, let's see, what day is that, the 19th, and then Mercury retrograde is getting to be clear, so especially as the month goes on, if you have to make a big investment in something, the stars are much more clear than they have been for a long time. So that could happen. You also could have just some drama around money, something stressful about your income. Some people will lose a source of income, or it will just come to a natural conclusion. Or you could get recognized for something that you've been working on there. The rest of you will, this is, towards the end of the sign, you'll have that fullness, completion, fruition coming in your first house. And when that happens, often it brings the attention on you, something that you've been doing. You get cast out into the limelight. It's very common that when there's a full moon in the first house that you get cast out into the limelight. Also, another manifestation for it could be that you just are doing too much and you get sick. I've seen many a person, myself included, that is just going full bore, and the full moon is in the first house, and then they get sick in some way because they're just doing too much, that your body is calling out for some attention. So you can prevent that by really listening to what your body needs in the time before then, and resting when you should rest, and taking your supplements when you should take them, and avoiding circumstances that could lead you to be sick. Those are all things that you can do to prevent it, taking probiotics, stuff like that. So these are the things that are most on my mind for the Libra placement specifically. Now I want to talk about this amazing trine that is, when the outer planets come together in a wonderful configuration. It's rare and it's awesome. So I'm calling the theme of the month of May for all signs, movement and manifestation to the max. This is the month that we have been waiting for through all of the retrograde cycles that started at the end of 2016. So there are definitely going to be major opportunities for the launches, for the trips, for the action, for the activity, for the big decisions. And we have some really amazing transits that line up with this clearing of the retrogrades. So I'll just go in order about the notable dates and the transits on those dates. Do know that when you sign up for my free email newsletter on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, I do a write-up, a general write-up for the month ahead, so that you have a lot of the points that I talk about written down, and it's easier to refer to for your planning purposes, so you can check that out too. So on May 3rd, this is the day that Mercury goes direct, and Mercury goes direct at 24 degrees of Aries. So if you have any planets close to there, of course, you'll be affected more than others or in aspect to them to that degree. But everyone will likely experience more chaos around the days that Mercury goes direct. So it would be a false idea to think, oh, today Mercury is direct, now today or tomorrow I will go and do all these things and make all these decisions and try to get all this stuff done. You'll feel it when you pay attention that the energies are very chaotic the days before and the days after a planet goes retrograde, or the days before or the days after it goes direct. So I'd say give it a few days, several days after the 3rd, before you start taking action. I know your little horsey's chomping at the bit, waiting through 5 months of retrograde energies to try to do things, but do wait just a little longer. On May 9th, we've got the first day that I consider really, really good to start doing some things. You have to feel in to see if your launches or things like that would be good on this day, but I like a little bit later in the month because the shadow energies start to clear more. But this is certainly a day when the sun in Taurus makes a trine to Pluto in Capricorn, where you have tremendous power aligning with your desires. So you could, just feel into it. This could be a day to do some of the things on your list. On May 10th, we have the full moon at 20 degrees of Scorpio, and at the same time, we have a Uranus and Mercury conjunction. So full moons usually bring fullness, completion, drama. Sometimes they bring happy tears, sometimes they bring stress, but there is this fullness, this completion, this coming to fruition of anything in the area of Scorpio. So something having to do with an intimate relationship, a business partnership, a financial relationship or agreement, something with esoteric studies. Many people can have major spiritual transformation that occurs at this time, or insights that occur. If someone is doing research or looking into a mystery, sometimes this energy can bring answers that you've been looking for, that you've been delving deep, searching for. The fact that Uranus and Mercury are going to make this conjunction at the same time always alerts me to watch your head and your brain, because Uranus in Aries, Uranus brings surprises. It could bring jolts. Mercury is like your movement, and it just always behooves us to guard your head, especially during this time, especially since the full moon is bringing excess of drama and emotions. And sometimes, everybody knows that people get a little more crazy at the full moon, right? Even people that don't believe in astrology know that that's true. So I like to leave a little space around the full moons so that whatever comes up, you can be fully present for them. So that's May 10th, the full moon in Scorpio. On May 11th, we have a square with Mars in Gemini to Neptune in Pisces. And so how I see this energy coming together as a potential is information overload, action overload, things to do, just kind of energy and movement combining with chaos and confusion. So this might be a day to step back. I always like to remind you that even though I give you the dates of the transits, sometimes we feel the energy of the planets coming together on the days before or the days after the actual transit. So you really need to feel in with your intuition if a day is good for something. Just because we say today is a good day in the cosmos, if you're having a bad day that day and things are not flowing for you, maybe you don't want to align with trying to make a big decision or do something on that day just because it happens to be a quote good transit. Sometimes you'll feel the good energy days before, so if you're feeling it, everything is aligning. You don't have to necessarily wait for the exact day the transit happens. If it's a positive transit, you can take advantage of that energy when you feel it beforehand as well. So I just wanted to point that out. So this Mars in Gemini and Neptune in Pisces aspect could bring some action and information overload. So just kind of draw back a little bit. That is the other thing to know about this month. Although there are definitely energetic clearings going on, the planets are going direct that were retrograde, the shadows or at least Mercury is. The Venus retrograde shadow transit is going to be over this month. We'll talk about that later. Mercury retrograde transit or shadow will be over later. There's this clearing out going, kind of opening up some room for action and things to happen. But it's this energy is interspersed with these little challenging moments. So you really just have to feel your way through to see which is a good time to do what and to take best advantage of the good energy when you're feeling it. Okay, so also on May 11th, Mercury in Aries is going to make a trine to Saturn and Sag. And so this energy is really good for good news and forward movements, especially on long-term projects. So the fact that it's so close to the full moon and this other aspect with Mars and Neptune, you just have to feel your way through. Feel when you're feeling that good energy flowing, then jump on that and take your actions at that time. On the 14th, the nodes, I started talking about the North and South node in transit last month in the April report. The North node in transit shows us keys to our highest expression. And right now, on May 14th, the nodes change to the polarity of Leo and Aquarius. And so when the North Node is transiting in Leo, it's pointing for all of us to have more energy towards following our bliss. That's what Leo energy is about, is living in this constant manifestation of these true desires. A true desire is not necessarily a chocolate cake, or a purse or something like that. The true desires, the ones that spirit wants for us, aligns for us. And who knows, maybe a purse or a chocolate cake could be part of that if it's part of something bigger for somebody. I have no judgment on the desires. We just have to be careful that addictions don't cloud the way of true desires that spirit wants for us, So when we really, really, really want something, it's usually because spirit really, really wants that for us. And when we align our energies with where spirit is directing us, we become an unstoppable force for manifestation. So with the transiting node moving into Leo, we're all going to have years of support for following our bliss. It reminds me of the quote by Joseph Campbell. If you haven't studied his work, he's amazing. He basically, this is, loosely, he talks about how when you follow your bliss, doors open that weren't there before. Not even doors necessarily that were closed, just like doors open from places where there just weren't any doors. When you follow your bliss, you align with that energy, you supercharge yourself for manifestation. So this is really good news for me for assisting everyone in following that bliss, because the universe is really supporting this at this time. So on May 18th, we have a nice angle between the Sun in Taurus and Chiron in Pisces. Chiron is an asteroid, it's the wounded healer. And it talks about how our weak spots can actually be our greatest strengths. So when we have a nice angle here, it's showing us that we have a chance to easily convert a weakness to a strength. That's what Chiron to me is all about. So when you have something at a nice angle to it, it means that conversion can be relatively easy. When you have Chiron in a challenging angle, then that conversion can be a little bit stressful. But this is like a nice little sweet spot here, in the middle of the month, where something that was serving to hinder you actually serves as your springboard. So around May 19th, we have this amazing long-term story, beautiful aspect between Saturn and Sagittarius and Uranus and Aries. So we've talked about outer planets, how when they get together, they create these long-term challenges, which could be opportunities or just straight opportunities. So this is just straight up opportunity for harmonious transitions. The first time Saturn and Uranus came together in this configuration in recent times was December 24th of 2016. So here now, May 19th, is our second run of this story. And then the third run they'll connect again on November 11th. And they won't come together again like this until 2047. So this is a really rare aspect, and it is one that is a theme for the whole year from the end of 2016 through the end of 2017. And this month of May, and actually for the end of April, all of May, and almost half of June, Saturn and Uranus are in this amazing close proximity that's just opening up to opening doors, just like we were talking about for following your bliss. So it's really supercharged. And so the energies are also both in fire. And fire means action. You know, if you know anyone or you have a lot of fire energy of your own, this is an action-oriented energy. Like, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Let's do something. So when you have these outer planets in this wonderful aspect, they want to help you do something really big. So this is the type of energy that's amazing for all huge transitions, like major crossroads. Changes in all areas of life are very much supported. And now that we have the personal planet retrogrades clearing up, it's really opening up the way for these changes that have been pending to really start to manifest. The same day, May 19th, we have this opposition with Venus and Aries to Jupiter in Libra. This is the opposition that I worry least about in general, because Venus and Jupiter are the two benefics, the nice planets basically of the zodiac. So when they get together, even in an ornery angle, it's not as much of a challenge or an issue as oppositions with other planets are, because they kind of like each other, you know? So I could see two main possible manifestations from this. Of course, there are unlimited manifestations, but one could be overindulgence in fun. So just excess of fun, spending, partying, whatever. That is more common at this time. Just having way too much fun. And the other way I can see this happening is a burnout from balancing me and we. Like, you could be getting in a really good groove with tending to your own things and tending to your stuff with relationship. Because Aries and Libra are this, this polarity of me and we. So you could just be burnt out from balancing me and we. And that could be how it manifests. And this same day, on May 19th, is when the Venus shadow period from the retrograde passes completely. So ever since April 15th, when Venus went direct, we've been in this shadow period where, even though it was moving forward, it was kind of still getting back to full strength. So now on this day, it's back at full strength, and we're not going to have to work with this for, a long time, until the end of 2018, as far as the Venus retrograde goes. On May 21st, the Mercury shadow clears. So in that time between, the first few days after Mercury goes direct, so May 3rd, after that, I'm saying like May 9th is a good time to start, pushing some things forward. From May 9th until the 21st, you're still having a little bit of shadow stuff to deal with, but it doesn't mean you can't get some stuff done. But now, as of the 21st, you have this completely open period from personal planets retrograde or their shadow periods until July 24th. So make the most of your taking action, doing things, going places, making decisions, moving forward. Then on May 25th, we have the new moon at almost 5 degrees of Gemini. New moons always bring new opportunities, and the more you make your wishes in alignment with the energy of the sign, the more the universe can help them come true. So you get 10 new moon wishes. You can check out my blog called Making Powerful New Moon in Gemini Wishes, or you can just go to anniehelpsyou.com, click on blog, and then put a search for New Moon in Gemini, and you'll find it. So you can see the types of things that are Gemini related that you can wish for that help to push your wishes even further. That new moon is also squaring Pluto. So there could be some challenges with people, authority figures, or unknown pieces, or some sort of forces that seem to be working against you. This is one of those examples this month, as I was saying, there's like all these energies moving forward, but they're like little hindrances, little obstacles in the way. So if you're feeling a little bit of a pushback, then just honor the flow and just wait until you're feeling the flow move forward again, instead of pushing against it. On May 28th through the 29th, Mars in Gemini is going to be opposing Saturn in Sagittarius. So this could be another one of those hiccups in progress where, Saturn, this taskmaster, comes in and opposes Mars, this planet that wants to move forward and take action. It's like a little bit of, hey, you have to do something with your responsibility here, or here's a little piece you didn't keep up with that you have to take care of before you can continue spiraling forward. And it is very much a spiraling energy because the energy of Gemini moves in an upward spiral. So you'll notice this month is just full of I mean, even though we have energy in Taurus as well, which is more grounded, there's more of a predominant energy in like the Aries and Gemini, which is like making everything spin, you know, busyness, lots of information, lots of talking, lots of thinking, lots of doing, lots of going places. So then on May 30th, Mars and Gemini will make a nice angle to Uranus, and this is a really great day to put a brilliant plan in action. Uranus rules taking chances, taking risks, doing something forward thinking, and Mars again rules action. So when they come together in a nice angle, this gives really good support for taking a brilliant idea and putting it into action. On the 31st, Mercury in Taurus will make a lovely trine with Pluto in Capricorn. So this is like grounded action fueled by emotional or lesser seen support. You know, Pluto is stuff in the backdrop. It could be spiritual, mystical stuff. It could be, you know, a person or an entity with money that is supporting you. But it's something that is positively expressing or positively supporting your expression at this time. So these are the things that are most on my mind. Again, the theme this month is movement and manifestation to the max. I hope that this helps you to take more advantage of the opportunities that will be at play this month. If you haven't already signed up for my free email newsletter, then definitely do that on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, because you get the write-up of the month that's coming. I always send that out a month early, just like I do the horoscopes a month early, so that you can prepare. And some people need to see things more than just hear them, and that written report will give you information in a visual way. Also, I might have some slots still open in my Creating Successful Online Business if you'd like to be free from your geography. I'm not yet enrolling for my astrology apprenticeship program and my coach certification course, but it's coming soon when I will be. So if you think you might be interested in those courses, they do fill up quickly. You can go to my website and click on anniehelpsyou.com, click on Work With Me, and send me an email through where it says this class is full and in progress. If you send me an email through there, I'll put you on the list to have first chance at open slots when they come, if you're really interested in working with me. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.